Okay, I think it's time for the burn. Savage.
Yes! This spot shall serve as well as any. I shall enjoy this harn.
Is this truly necessary? Have you no peaceable way of making decisions?
Oh, come on, Stoa.
Speak not of peace. You stand before proud warriors of the Dathal. In the heat of battle do our souls burn brightest. We lay low the strong that we may rise higher. That is our way, the way of might. There is no other.
Oh, they do not want for conviction.
Indeed. It's what makes them such dangerous enemies, and such useful allies.
Enough talk! It is time to fight!
The champion of the steppe. You are mistaken if I let you think I will fall so easily.
In death do our souls sing! Death do our souls sing! In death do our souls sing!
Ah, fighting is pure bliss. Such sweet pleasure. I will not suffer to end so soon. Tell me this all you. My soul demands more, Han. Give me more.
In death do our souls sing! death do our souls sing!
My arms go heavy. As long as my lifeblood flows, I will fight on. Come, let us get in here.
In death do our souls sing! In death do our souls sing!
I wonder if that was a wipe.
Enough! You were not granted leave to set the steppe ablaze.
Well, well, the sun has come out to play.
I'm gonna need this bowl of ice
Be gone, Moonstruck Oranir! I am busy!
cream. Moonstruck Oranir.
Fool of a Dothal! Have you forgotten the face of your master already? The sun will never set! From his seat on high, he reigns over all, now and forever.
Like, still has come again?
Yet what should he find here but a battle to determine the fate of the steppe? A battle waged without his blessing. This will not stand. You, Doman! You who come to petition the warriors of this land, forget that all Nama's children are wards of the Oranir. As first among my brothers, your petition is mine alone to judge.
Oh, really?
These words are as wind from a horse's backside. Plentiful, but your axe sings more sweetly. Let her speak for you.
There was a compliment in there. Backhanded as it was.
Insolent child. You will learn your place!
Forgive me, Brother Magni, but we have an arrangement with the Dothal. We will not abide any interruptions.
So be it. The sun will pass judgment on all. Didakul, join me.
sun is in good company. We may dance alone.
Beg not for mercy, for you will have none. Bear witness to the power and the glory of Azim!
Constantly at each other's throats like rabid dogs. Gods, I'm turning into her. I have not the patience for this. But if we must fight, let us at least be brief. Come.
Plead your case to the sun. Oh, we shall endeavor to be most convincing. When we have claimed victory, I claim peace, but do as you will. Focus on Magna. Leave Didactyl to me.
Kneel or die!
Must learn your place.
Bow down before me! Kneel or die!
Mark well and learn!
Let's move this right along. You have left yourself open, Doman.
Concentrate!
Oh, this bodes ill. Sure, some healing would be welcome. My fist swells with the passion of the deep. Every last drop I give to you.
Kneel or die!
You still stand.
Bow down before me!
Mark well and learn!
Kneel or die! Bow down before me!
Know the folly of opposing the will of what as him.
Tremble before the sun!
These axes will not break. You have nowhere to hide. Very well. Show that to me. Oh, I don't have her. Great, that's right. I shall take care of this.
Let us be about it!
could do. What? Every step you take, every move you make, the sun sees it. Now fall. Time to finish this.
Aether, to me! Have at you!
What strength? What grace is this?
Never have I felt such bliss in defeat. 'Twas a battle to burn soul and flesh to ash. We Dothal will lend you our strength as promised. Narma's power is yours to wield. What does the sun say to that?
The sun is not driven by base motives such as yours. But they have been judged and found worthy. It is the way of the Oranir to accord recognition and respect to the strong. You have made sufficient proof of your strength. The sun shall answer your call.
You have our thanks. We are glad to call you allies.
Never the diplomat, Ian.
You? By what are you called?
You stole her. Why?
Are you my Nama?
I beg your pardon?
In battle, you shone with all the majesty of the full moon's light. Your healing touch, the embodiment of the Dusk Mother's love. Long had I wondered if my Nama might not be a woman of the steppe. Beholding you, I am all but certain. Now, look into my eyes. Could it be? Could you be?
I am. Not interested, little son. Try again when you've become a man.
Oh, this ice cream is
Little?
delicious.
Little son! Little son! Does it pain you, little son? Crave you salve to soothe the ache? Fire to sear the wound in your heart?
We have wasted enough time here. Siren awaits for word of our success.
Magnai's unannounced appearance had me worried for a moment, but it was not his day to shine. Still, I cannot fault the man's bravery. Offended? Not in the least. I am no stranger to clumsy propositions, and that, believe it or not, was far from the worst I've heard. On the matter of Nama's power in the Alliance, the gods have remained silent. That is the way of telling us to choose with our hearts. We not only had to contend with Sadu, but Magnai too? Such a fierce battle that must have been. Here you stand, triumphant. Having passed such a test, they could not well deny you their allegiance. The mole will make no such demands. Weak though we are, we will gladly stand with you. The steppe is our home and we will defend it with all our being. You have my heartful thanks. Of all the tribes on the steppe, there's none I would rather have at my side. God's willing, many more will rally to our cause. I shall send word when you have the answers from all the tribes. I cannot thank you enough, Serena. None of this would have been possible without you. We have the requisite consent. It is time to put Nama's power to use. If the ether flows as planned, all that remains is to have the ironworks engineers do their part with the ruins. Come, let us return to the house of the crooked coin. I would not have the first idea how to awaken such a contraption, let alone control it. Then I am not an Archon of Charlotte. I shall begin at once. You may wish to step back.
Did it work?
It did. Ether may flow freely to the burn once more.
manipulate ether in such vast quantities is draining to say the least. I shall take it slowly for a while. I do not pretend to understand what you did, Ishtola, but you did it. Thanks to you, and Sarah, of course, we have taken a momentous step in securing our defenses. Now, as much as I believe the rest is in order, we should probably make haste back to the Enclave. Agreed. The others may have already returned from the missions. I would know how things stand. As would I. Without further ado, then. Lord Eaton is expecting you. May I show you in? My lord informs me that you are instrumental to the success of his mission in the XIV step. Though we'd hope to make many more allies, we could wish no better than you and your fellow Scions. Each of the factions lent an ear to our petition. As anticipated, however, many were unwilling to do it more than that. Everyone has returned. Excellent. Time to take stock. So it seems we're the last to arrive. Judging by your transcriptions, indeed, you have secured a suitable energy source for the barrier. Good. Tataru and I have commissioned Garland Ironworks to ensure that the fuel generators function as they should. Team of engineers stand ready to set out for the burn at a moment's notice. You need only say the word. I thank you for engaging in your services on my behalf, and initially the arrangement you may leave to me. Which this leaves a small matter of our alliance. So Yugiri and Hakuro, how fare you with our neighbors? My lord, all the factions we approach are in agreement that the Empire poses a threat, and many responded positively to a talk of an alliance. From Pengashin to Suo no Sato, however, we receive outright rejections. The former will not break its treaty with the Empire, and the latter will not involve itself in conflict. Just as we expected. Well, there is naught to be done about it. We must focus on the rest. Each of the nations that were amenable to an alliance, I will personally send a missive. Once I have attended to that, I believe we have done everything we can to fortify Doma's defenses, for the time being at least. All of which means I may leave to the meeting at Alamigo with a lighter heart. Yugiri Hakuro, if you would be so kind as to hold the fort in my absence. My friends, we could not have achieved so much in so little time without your help. For that, you have my heartfelt thanks. Till the meeting then. Took the liberty of asking Thancred to attend as well. He should have arrived in Alamigo Corridor by now. Then let us not keep him waiting, shall we? Are you perhaps familiar with Naxia? It is a region to the south and west of Naxia, and home for several small nations. Such peoples well understand the value of an alliance, and thus did many of them receive our proposal most favorably. That's good enough. I knew full well how Hingashi and Suo no Sato would respond, yet it did not to lessen the disappointment when they finally stopped equivocating. As I mentioned, I have missives to write and some other matters to attend to at our departing. See you anon, my friend. It occurs to me, this is really the first time I've met the leaders of the Alliance in an official capacity. More stiff greetings, pleasantries, formalities. Does that sound about right? Let us hope that the coming meeting passes more peaceably than the last such gathering in Alamigo. Stola has told me all, and I duly told Iriange and Cryle. Cryle in particular was concerned about Alphino, but I assured her that everything that can be done is being done. She agreed to continue her own task for the time being, on the condition that I contact her the moment there is any development. So at least 4 of us to attend the council. Arnvald is here to assist with security, incidentally, though the poor lad seems to be altogether too distracted for the task. Another one missing from Alphino, I expect. But it's almost time. As soon as you are ready, present yourself to the guardsmen at the palace entrance. I shan't be far behind. Spare a moment after the proceeding, consider seeking out Arnvald. A word from you would do wonders for the lad, I'm sure. The signs of the 7th dawn. Welcome to Alamigo. The Alliance leaders have already arrived. May I show you to the meeting chamber?
Mistress Lys, Commander Aldin, it gives me great pleasure to formally welcome the city-state of Alamigo to the Eorzean Alliance.
The pleasure is ours, Your Grace. I know I speak for all Alamegans when I say that we are glad of this chance to stand with our comrades of the Alliance.
And we, for our part, are glad indeed to be able to welcome friends both old and new.
Lord Hien of Doma, at your service. Pray, accept my heartfelt thanks for your generous invitation.
Nay, 'tis we who must thank you for journeying so far. And 'twould be remiss of me not to acknowledge the part the Scions of the 7th Dawn have played in bringing all of us together. In times of great unrest, you and yours have been our constant companions, without whom we would not be here.
With apologies to Lord Hien and Mistress Alize, it occurs to me that we have not gathered in this way since that fateful day in Uldar.
The day I lost my arm and my freedom. As I lay in my cell, never did I dream that I would one day be given the chance to represent my homeland at this council. I would not even be alive had you not plucked me from the jaws of death. You, Yugiri, and Alphino. Would that the lad could be with us.
I too owe my presence here to Alphino, in so many ways. Until such time as he returns, I mean to carry on his good work as best I can.
Come, friends, let us leave the past in the past and turn our eyes to the future. My Lord Hien, pray, tell us how things stand in the East.
Having heard the rumors of dissent in Garlemald, I dared to dream of a peaceable solution.
The Empire will not so easily change its ways. If the Garleans have a mind to take back Doma and Alamigo, we'll be hard-pressed to stop them, even with the might of 6 nations.
But while we lack the strength to fight the tide, a course may yet present itself, if we read the winds aright.
The winds suggest but one course to me. One which leads from the sea unto the river and thence to the source of all our woes.
The Ascians.
Indeed. All here have felt their blighted touch. It was the bringers of chaos who nurtured the Archbishop's tyrannical ambitions. They who bestowed upon him the secrets of summoning, as they have so many others before and since. And while they remain, we shall know no peace.
Our objective is clear. The question is how to achieve it. That our enemy parades about in Xenos' skin poses problems in itself, but ere we get to them, how are we to infiltrate the Empire and get close enough to strike?
While I see the wisdom in targeting the Ascians, an assassination attempt on Garlean soil would do little to aid our cause, even were it to succeed. It's time we used our enemy's preferred tactic: subterfuge.
You have an idea?
Speak your mind, Master Thancred. None here know the enemy better than the Scions, and you mayhap best of all. Whatever it is you propose, we will give it fair hearing. On that you have my word.
Very well, Admiral. My proposal is thus. We dispatch the shinobi to Imperial territory. There, they sow the rumor that the Crown Prince perished in the battle for Alamigo, and that the man parading around is in fact a corpse inhabited by a servant of darkness.
Well, it does have the ring of truth about it. And were the Garleans to learn that their future ruler is a puppet, the Empire would be shaken to the core.
But at the risk of sounding stupid, would they actually believe such an unlikely story? I didn't.
That's actually not a
Ordinarily not. But prior to his miraculous recovery, rumors of Xenos' death had already begun to circulate around the Empire. Ultimately, however, what the masses believe is not our chief concern. Our true objective is to create an opening for rival factions within Garlemald to exploit.
Just as a war of succession erupted in the wake of Emperor Solus's death.
A war which raged until but recently, plunging the Imperial House into disarray as nephew and uncle grappled for the throne. It is no coincidence that one of Varus's first acts as Emperor was to name Xenos heir apparent, family feuds being so tiresome when armies are involved. Not all welcomed his choice of successor, however. There is no shortage of individuals who aspire to the throne, who would jump at any chance to seize power. The news that Xenos is not only dead, but a puppet to diabolical forces would be too enticing to ignore.
The Empire would not be quick to recover from a second war of succession.
I am no stranger to infiltrating Imperial territory. With a team of operatives gathered from among the Alliance's finest, the plan should have a reasonable chance of success.
Dorma already has shinobi in place throughout the provinces. We stand ready to act, and act we must. What say you all?
I'm for Master Thancred's proposal. We shine a light upon the Ascian and test the Empire's unity. 'Twas his plot that scuttled Doma's negotiations, was it not? Why then, if we can eliminate him, there may yet be a chance for peace. Let us wage this war of subterfuge, that we may one day lay down our arms. Gods know we never will while the Ascians remain.
that way. Sorrow. History must be changed.
Who is this?
Ahead looms a calamity. Ahead looms light, expunging all form and life. Twin dooms only you can forestall. Only you.
What's the matter?
There's a voice!
Spies in our midst?
Nay, I sense no such presence.
Let expanse contract, eon become instant. Throw wide the gates that we may pass.
Is it over?
Master Thancred!
For Fend. Bear him to a private chamber. Have every healer make ready. Swiftly!
I think it's the first time I ever heard Cannae Santa shout. I mean, in the MSQ.
Master Thancred remains in slumber. Though his vital signs appear stable, he's unresponsive.
What could have done this? And why just him and not the others?
I'm afraid we could not identify the cause, my lady. Our examinations revealed no wounds, nor the presence of any poisonous substances.
Gods, that only makes it worse. You're to let us know the moment there's any change, all right?
Thank you for coming. Knowing Thancred, he would apologize for being otherwise engaged at so crucial a juncture.
In gifting us a course of action, Thancred sowed the seed of all that is to follow. We have but to nurture it as best we can. To him, I would say, rest easy, that he may wake to enjoy the fruits of our labors. Now, the matter of the mysterious voice must not be forgotten. Will you tell me exactly what happened?
Alizé and I heard a voice in the moments before Thancred collapsed. It was accompanied by a severe headache, as if something were clutching at our minds. Did you experience the same thing?
So, in between the voice and the pain, you felt as if you were somewhere else entirely?
Your testimony confirms my suspicion. That which you experienced was, I believe, your soul being plucked from your flesh. Called.
Called?
I myself examined Thancred. Reach out as I may, I could not sense in him the spark of life that is his soul. That Thancred alone was stricken so is likely due to his heightened sensitivity to the effects of ether, a consequence of his prior possession by the Ascian La Hebrea. The owner of the voice, whoever it may be, reached out to you, called your souls, and in so doing, caused you and yours such pain.
But if that's true, where exactly are we being called to?
I know not. Yet one thing is plain. Whoever waits for you on the other side is possessed of a power unlike any I have ever known.
Forgive us, Lys, but may we leave Thancred in your care for a time?
As if you had to ask. I may not be a scion anymore, but I'm no less a friend. Don't worry. I'll see to it that Thancred's well looked after. Just focus on solving this mystery, all right?
Thank you, Lys. As the Elder Seedseer says, 'tis no ordinary individual we are dealing with. Nor can we discount the possibility of Ascian involvement.
Whoever or whatever is behind this, the sooner we find out, the better.
Never have I encountered such a phenomenon. If this is magic, it is beyond my ken. Don't worry about Thancred. I'll send word as soon as there is any change. If the Ascians are indeed responsible, we must take steps to protect ourselves. Though not how. I just tried calling Urianger in his Think Peril. He didn't respond, but I dare to hope that he possesses some knowledge that we do not. Ah, Urianger! Something happened during the meeting. Thancred had collapsed. A disembodied voice suddenly started... What? But that... We should talk about this in person. Alright, we'll meet you there. That was Urianger. He heard the voice too. In Thanalan? As we are alone and were afflicted at the meeting, I had my suspicions, but the voice also spoke to Urianger. There can be little doubt. The scions were targeted specifically. By whom and to what end is the question? One to which we must find an answer with all possible haste. Urianger agreed to meet us at the Rising Stones. If any of the others heard the voice, we'll find out soon enough. Good luck! I should get back to the meeting with the Elder Seedseer, but if there's anything I can do, anything at all, you must let me know, alright? Promise me. Alright, let's be on our way.
Urianger! God, it's good to see you.
Would that our meeting were under happier circumstances. I judged the voice sufficient cause for concern even before you sent word of its effect on our comrade.
You heard it too, then?
And all but certainly at the selfsame instant. Alas, pained as I was, I could make little sense of what few words did then reach mine ears.
Who do you think is responsible? Could this be the Ascians doing?
That I cannot say. Not when so little is known. Ere I indulge in speculation, I would examine Thancred with mine own eyes.
To Alamigo, then, without further delay.
One other thing. During my visit to the Far East, I observed a strange phenomenon.
Thou referrest, I presume, to the localized reduction in etheric density.
Well, that spares me the trouble of an explanation. Yes, I noted precisely that at two apparently unconnected locations. I take it the phenomenon is not limited to the Far East.
Indeed not. Of late, our agents charged with surveilling the beast tribes have spoken of little else. In every corner of the realm, they tell of places in which the ether hath grown thin. Naturally, my suspicions first turned to primal activity, but the areas thus affected betray no evidence of summoning. I must confess to being quite perplexed.
If the same phenomenon is being observed in multiple locations on opposite sides of the world, we may safely discount regional factors. Needless to say, this warrants further investigation.
Indeed. I shall make it my task to. The voice. It calleth to me once more.
I hear it too.
Only you. Only you.
No! Ishtola! Rianger!
Throw wide the gates.
No! No, this can't be happening! Y'shtola! Rianger! Open your eyes! Open your eyes, I beg you! Say something! Anything! Not again. Please, not again!
This is an unprecedented predicament for the science. But we must remain strong. The least of us, most of all. It cannot be discounted that Mistress Crow has heard the voices all well. I'll ask Satori to send her word of what has come to pass. Did the self-same thing happen to Thancred? Who's bloody next? We had spoken earnestly of doing more to ease the senior science burdens, but not under these circumstances, no less so soon. I only hope I will be equal to the challenge. Sage. I only have a few scholarly acquaintances of my own, and will reach out to them for the insights. It may not be much, but 'tis my own little way of aiding Mr. Alice. Forgive me. That was an unseemly display. I'm afraid so, though given the circumstances, it should be best to observe them together. I'll send word to Lise that you should be brought here. Take heart, my lady. The world is full of scholars and knowledgeable folk of every persuasion. Someone out there is bound to know what ails our comrades and how it may be cured. Thus we will arouse them no matter what. That we will, Hori. That we will. But first things first, our comrades will have questions. May I ask that you explain this situation to them? I must attend to a private matter. Oh, I promised I'd visit someone in Lemensa. He's been waiting with Maelstrom Command for a while now. You know, you should come along too. I think he'll be glad to see you. Worry not, Sarah. Alker and Anor will keep watch over Mr. Sigil and Master Rihanji. Pray keep Mr. Salazar company. It cannot be discounted. Sure, said that. Everybody else is the same. Confound these old bones. Useless as I am, I should have been the one to be struck down. Alker, sister, and I will take turns keep watch over the slumbering Aragons. We'll not leave them unattended even for a moment. Moments. With Mr. Salazar, are you? Oh. With Mr. Salazar, are you? She usually visits alone. So, making a welcome change with the little one. As you probably guessed, the Gabu we've come to see, a private hero will bring him out to us. Ever since the Maelstrom took him in, I've tried to visit as often as I can. And after what we fellow friends, I was taken by the urge to visit again. It's difficult to explain.
Here he is, my lady.
taboo. It's been too long.
I'm afraid there's been no change. If he can see or hear us, he has given no sign.
I see. You're still fighting. I'm proud of you. We promised that we would come and visit you together, didn't we? Alphino and I. I'm sorry that we haven't managed that yet. You know, with the three of us like this, does it not remind you of that night? Of the stars beyond count twinkling in the heavens? I was feeling pretty low back then. Powerless. But I knew that my brother was close by if I needed him, and that the others would be waiting for me back at the Rising Stones. Not like now. I've seen my share of trouble since coming to Eorzea. Been reminded again and again of my limitations, of how little I can change about this world. And I've come to know the sorrow of parting all too well. But to have the people I hold dear struck down before my eyes, and be powerless to help them, that I cannot bear.
You don't have to bear this burden alone.
No, I don't. You're right. It's pure arrogance to imagine I can solve everything by myself. You'd think I'd have learned that by now. Thank you. I don't know what I'd do without you. Well, that's more than enough brooding for one day. Come on. We have friends to save.
Let's return to the Rising Stones and take it from there. Thanks again for agreeing to come. It meant a lot to me. Unlock something. Eager to listen to my harp, are you? For what higher praise could a minstrel ask than to have an audience set to the very hero who provides inspiration for his songs? Yet I have no fresh compositions I deem fit for a champion's ears, but that I possess something more to amuse you. I've been struck by the most wonderful idea. You shall be the author and the subject of your own creations. Yes, by weaving an epic of your own endeavors, you will find yourself casting a critical eye upon past deeds. Think of such works as muses for future growth. It is no difficult thing to pen a poem. The words will come out of their own accord, I assure you. Simply envision the scene and describe the memories in a faithful detail. Omit not and add not, and the truth shall remain. Reciting the finished piece should then serve to bring the past to vivid life within your mind's eye. When you look upon back upon events with destructive clarity, what was hidden in the chaos may not seem frighteningly clear, especially when things are colored by the embellishments I might bring to the story. May the recording of your sagas reward you with their inspiration and insight. Oh, and do return sometime and share what you have wrought. Oh, neat. I figured I was going to unlock a savage of some kind. I did some thinking on the way back, and I think Hori is right. We need to seek outside help. Ordinarily, we would turn to our own experts on such matters, but they're both among the stricken. We would begin by reaching out to the myriad guilds and research institutions here in Eorzea. Additionally, Grandfather and Midphilia had a wealth of connections between them. I mean to explore those avenues too. We'll find a way to save everyone, mark my words. Much more has happened in recent days. Some of it for the good, some not so. While all around me, people continue their fight. From the shinobi who search for Alphino to the Alliance members who make ready to move against the Empire, they march in the face of adversity, bearing heavy burdens. Everyone is playing their part, and so must I. You have your own part to play, I know, and it's bigger than most, so I won't keep you. Just promise that you'll visit from time to time, and I'll promise I'll have good tidings to share with you when you do.
The Populares no longer present an obstacle. Now is the time to bring the Empire's might to bear. A word from your Radiance is all it takes. But one word, and the Imperial army will fall upon Alamigo as a pack of bloodthirsty wolves and tear that feeble nation apart. Have you no words for me? Despite the lengths I go to, an emissary playing the part of a fool. When first I took this face, I swore to use all of my knowledge, all of my power, to further the cause of the Empire. My deeds stand testament to my commitment. And with this adamant flesh at my disposal, I could destroy the Icon Slayer as easily as one might swat a fly. Why do you hesitate? Our enemy is resourceful. Though victory is certain now, it will not remain so indefinitely. Deliberate if you must, but be quick about it. We'll speak again when you have unburdened yourself of doubt. Until then, I take my leave, Father.
I should be the one to sigh.
Look who it is.
I played my part to perfection. I had earned my rest, and then, thanks to La Habrea's crowning act of idiocy, our favorite emissary sees fit to summon me back. Elidibus was ever a warrior. A most tiresome trait, would you not agree? What? Have you no words for me either? No matter. I've long grown weary of this mummery. Now, my dearest grandson, let me remind you of your place in the simplest of terms.
Ooh, that cheek twitch.
You do not make judgments, you administer them. Swiftly and to the letter. Naught else is your concern. Elidibus may be an insufferable bore, but he is no fool. His choices as emissary seldom err. If aught threatens the balance twixt light and dark, it falls to you to remove it. Be it by your own hands or by your armies, you have ample means at your disposal. That is why this empire exists, why I built it. Oh dear, have I touched a nerve? You always were an easy one to read. I pity you, I do. As they say, ignorance is bliss. And I know how much happier you would be not knowing the things you know. The founding father was an Ascian, and he created the Empire solely for the purpose of sowing the seeds of chaos. Don't take it personally. I merely do my duty. To bring about a calamity requires no small amount of power, and there is no surer way to obtain such power than by collecting powerful pawns. To that end, I have labored long and hard, and I must say I am quite pleased with my handiwork, paltry though it seems in comparison to Alag.
You fiends are overfond of your own voices. Mark me, Ascian. Man is the master of his own destiny.
Such a waste of time and energy, both yours and mine. Lest you forget, you are Emperor now. If you wish to spout drivel about man's destiny, save it for the masses. It will serve to give them a sense of purpose, and you, pliant pieces for the game. Oh, do stop sulking, boy. You, of all people, should understand. Ours is a struggle to restore both mankind and the world to their rightful state. Viewed thus, our goals are one and the same.
What in the world? Dead. All dead. And I see no wounds, nor any evidence of battle. Damn them. They finally used it. The Empire developed an alchemical weapon on Garbania, a gas, Black Rose it was called. To breathe it is to breathe your last. And that did this? I thought the project abandoned and its vile fruit destroyed, but naught else could have wrought such an atrocity. Fools! What do they hope to gain with this butchery? Can they not see that if rule won through terrorism will not endure, how many more provinces must they lose? Nay, wait. This is not the work of men, but monsters. The Asians. It cannot be a coincidence that their trail led us here. The objective is never to rule, but to sow strife and discord. Such a crime does indeed bear the mark of a bringers of chaos. Black Rose cannot be allowed to kill again. We must find the Asians and put an end to the plot.
I'm glad you've come, though I'm afraid there's little in the way of good news. After you left, we reached out to both the Alchemists Guild and Stillglade Fane and attempted all manner of treatments. But the results were always the same. Whatever the answer is, it's not alchemy or conjuring. Why did it have to be Y'shtola and Urianger and not me? Out of all of us, they are the ones who could feasibly have solved this puzzle. And Elphino's still missing. Gods, it's all going wrong. Where do we even start?
A grave situation indeed. Might I be of some assistance?
Cryle! I thought you were busy delving into the mysteries of Eureka.
When word reached me of the plight of our friends, I could not well stay away. As a fellow scion, not to mention your erstwhile mentor, this is one of those times you should feel free to call on me, regardless of my personal circumstances.
Yes, I should have thought of that. Thank you for coming, Cryle. We would welcome your insight.
And I should be happy to provide it. Now, what's this I hear about Alphino heading into Imperial territory? That boy always did have some funny ideas. Do you remember the speech he gave when he was accepted to the Studium?
Oh, I want to hear this. I want to hear this.
My life's goal is naught less than the salvation of this star.
That particular grand pronouncement has been a source of great embarrassment to him, as you know. But the fact of the matter is, he meant every word and has lived his life accordingly.
Yes, he remains altruistic to a fault, but I'm worried he was too fixated on his goals to see the dangers, as has happened before.
You needn't be so concerned. Though his values remain the same, Alphino is not the blinkered boy he once was. Slowly but surely his eyes have been opened, thanks to a certain someone. A certain someone whom he'd be mortified to learn had heard about his little speech. Mum's the word, eh? Right, I'd better have a look at our patients. They're in the infirmary, I assume. I'll need absolute quiet, so it would be best if I did this alone. If you'll excuse me. All three are in fine physical health. At a glance, I would say they were merely sound asleep. Except for the fact that I couldn't sense the slightest trace of them in their bodies. It's as if their souls have taken leave of their physical forms.
Ah, yes. The Elder Seedseer made a similar observation.
I've read the report. When you heard this mysterious voice, you described feeling as if you were somewhere else, yes? If we assume the ether which comprises your essence is being drawn to some other place, then it may be possible to follow the trail it leaves behind, just as we did in our search for Thancred.
I wasn't around for that, but I can't imagine it was easy.
Oh, it wasn't. But that's no reason not to try. I will have need of Master Matoya's crystal eye if I'm even to make the attempt. So I suggest we pay her a visit.
Please do keep Alphino's little speak to yourself. It can be awfully sensitive at times. I'd heard Master Matoya was something of a recluse, but this seems extreme. Still, I'll happily overlook her eccentricities if you help us.
Come to disturb my peace again, have you? I hide myself away in a cave, and still you people insist on pestering me with your problems. Oh, I mistook you for young what's-his-name, but I see now you're the sister. Weren't you supposed to be the lively one? I've seen happier faces at a rain-sodden burial.
Well, I'm sorry to dash your expectations, but the situation isn't exactly conducive to gaiety.
Ooh. She snaps back.
Ha! That's more like it. Stoller used to spit and hiss like a wildcat too. Better for a young thing like you to be filled with fire and leave the doom and gloom to your elders. Now, what exactly does this tragic situation of yours have to do with me?
If I may, Master Matoya, we have need of your crystal eye once more.
And Stoller is one of the afflicted, is she? Very well. She may be an ungrateful stray, but she's my ungrateful stray, and I'll not see her buried before I am.
This is why I love Victoria.
Right, let us see what we can see. I'll begin from where our friends first fell, and cast my senses out from there.
What is it? Did you find them?
This doesn't make sense. How is it even possible?
How is what possible? Kryl, what did you see?
The threads, they just ended. And no, I didn't lose track of them. I followed them as far as they went. It's as if they were cut off.
Could their ether have dissipated if it had? Oh gods! Their bodies are just husks. It's like the broodmother's daughter all over again.
No, this is different. The Kalyana girl was already dead, body and soul, when Lakshmi effected her resurrection.
Aye, let's not jump to conclusions. If their physical forms yet breathe and show no signs of wasting, then it follows that their souls must still be intact somewhere.
But where?
That's the question, isn't it, girl? Death has not taken them to the ethereal sea, yet there are no tracks left for us to follow.
We're no closer to an answer than when we started. But knowing their souls are still out there is progress of a sort. We just have to keep looking. Pray, excuse me a moment. Yes? I remember, but... What, to Alamigo? We're on our way. That was Lise. Apparently, a group of Populares have defected to Alamigo, and Maxima, the envoy Alphino left with, is one of them. I'm sorry. I realize we've barely begun here, but...
Go, child, go! You've made up your mind, and life's too short for dithering.
Yeah.
I'll do some digging in the meantime and see if there isn't some other method we could use to continue the search.
Let's be off then.
Oh, not again. The enchantment barely seems to take these days. I chalk it up to old age, but I rather doubt it's that simple.
Before they took ill, Y'shtola and Urianger were sharing notes on a thinning of the ether. It seems to be happening all over.
Does it now? And here I was, all set to blame my woes on that creaking mountain of refuse clogging up the Thaliac. I fear something has gone awry. Still, there's naught to be gained from starting in shadows. You can only do what can be done, and that but one thing at a time.
I'm sorry I couldn't do more. I've never seen a soul's thread end so abruptly before. So that was the woman who tamed Y'shtola. I had a distinct feeling of being grabbed by the scruff of the neck and having the nonsense shaken out of me.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
When Alphino is back, I'd like to visit again and ask her what tale she has of grandfather. I almost can't bear to hear what Maxima has to tell us. But that can't be bad news, can it? Lise would have said... Unless... There's no point in speculating. Well, he said she notified the guards of our coming, so we should head straight out to the palace gate in the Alamigan Quarter. I'll be praying for good news. Learn what you can about Alphino's plight, and leave the search for our friends' lost souls to me. Greetings, Scions. Commander told me to expect you, so I'll show you in.
I'm sorry to drag you halfway across the realm, but when Maxima mentioned Alphino, I thought you'd want to hear the news in person.
Ah, we meet again. Though I was hoping our reunion would be under more auspicious circumstances.
What happened to my brother? Where is Alphino?
Never fear, my lady. Your brother was in fine health when I took my leave of him, and I have no reason to assume that has changed.
You assume?
If you will allow me, I shall endeavor to explain events. Our troubles began not long after we departed Doma. While crossing the burn, we were fired upon by the Emperor's personal guard and forced to make an emergency landing. As we stumbled from the wreckage, our attackers fell upon us again, and we would have perished there and then were it not for the intercession of a third party, a band of mercenaries whose leader claimed to pursue a vendetta against the Ascians. This shadow hunter, as he styled himself, then escorted us out of the wastes to relative safety. Upon arriving back in civilization, I gathered my Populares colleagues and prepared to flee the Empire. Master Alphino, however, declined the invitation to join us, preferring to continue his investigation into the Ascian threat.
Well, at least he's not lying in a heap in the burn. Tell us more about these Ascian hunters. Who are they? And is Alphino still with them?
He is. As to who they are, I'm afraid I have nothing to tell you. Beyond the fact that they root out and destroy Ascians, they were unwilling to divulge anything which might serve to identify them. They would not even reveal their next destination. But Master Alphino asked to accompany them all the same. Since parting company with your brother, we've been engaged in a game of cat and mouse with the Emperor's guard. We made our way through province after province, finding the army busy restoring order wherever we went, until we finally arrived here in Alamigo. I cannot thank Commander Aldin enough for giving us such an unexpectedly warm welcome.
I'm not inclined to turn away refugees, no matter which land they call home. And if they can tell me how things lie in Garlemald, all the better.
On that subject, there is much I would tell you. During the course of our journey, we heard tales that an entire rebel army had been slaughtered in the space of a single night. It would seem my former comrades grew tired of putting down uprisings in the conventional manner, and chose instead to bring a formidable new weapon to bear. Details were sparse, but the rumor alone was enough to dampen the flames of rebellion. I have also heard reports that several companies have withdrawn from their designated provinces and begun marching westward. It is my assessment that the Empire's forces are mobilizing for a large-scale military engagement.
Westward? You mean they're getting ready to invade Alamigo?
We knew this was coming, but not that it would be so soon.
We've barely even begun to shore up our defenses. They won't stop an invading army.
No, they won't. Dispatch messengers to the Alliance leadership requesting reinforcements, and send word to our officers in the field to hasten completion of those border fortifications. Prepare to meet the Imperials head on! No matter how quickly we act, we still want for time. When the enemy comes into view, our best recourse will be to open negotiations with their commander, and see that the ensuing proceedings take as long as possible.
Would you and Alize head to Doma and let Lord Hien know about this? I'm sure he'll want to hear about Alphino too.
Consider it done. We'll send word when...
Untold sorrow must be changed. Eon become instant. Throw wide the gates!
You heard it too. Well, at least we're both still standing.
Oh, thank the gods. I thought we'd lost you for a moment there. Why does this keep happening?
I wish I knew. Nothing we've tried has brought us any closer to an answer. We'll keep working on it. But first, we need to go and see Lord Hien.
So, Alphino is safe. For the present, at least. Now all we need to worry about is a full-scale Imperial invasion. Mesh gladly tasked us with visiting Lord Hien. Better to be dashing from place to place than sitting around stewing over things we can't change. To the Enclave. I see you have tidings for Lord Hien. May I show you in? Fall Rabanastra was not the end of our nation. We who survived retreated underground and have begun gathering strength to mount a counteroffensive. Dalmasca will rise again. I came to represent the lands of Naxia. Long have we struggled in the defiance of the Empire, waiting for just such an opportunity as this alliance presents. The Imperials have enjoyed the freedom of the Ruby Sea for long enough. 'Tis time we paid them dues. After humbling at your hands, Magnaia and his Oroner have spent every waking moment upon the training fields. Defeat does not sit well with the sun and his children. We of the Blue Kojin will not submit to the Empire's tyranny. If only our red brethren will awaken to their folly. Alone, Doma could accomplish little against the Empire, but in concert with the allies who have gathered here today, we might do much. Sarah, you will have arrived in time to witness the beginnings of our new alliance. The proposal struck a chord with many of our neighbors, I am pleased to say. Greetings, my friends. I was just discussing the future endeavors with the members of our newly formed alliance. The Kojin and the Confederacy you already know, and it was your own strength of arms that won us the cooperation of the steppe tribes. We have also been joined by our neighbors from Naxia and the indomitable citizens of Dalmasca, though the scattered nature of the latter's resistance will somewhat delay their official induction. These 12 peoples have been united against under a single purpose, to stand against the tyranny of the Graulian Empire. I'm glad to see your alliance is coming together so swiftly. As things stand, I fear we shall have soon need of your strength. I thank you for bringing news of Alphino. His fate is never far from my thoughts, and not only because he is our emissary. As for the sudden deployment of Imperial forces, I agree that Alamigo would be wise to shore up his defenses with all haste. Every report we receive from our shinobi indicates a massing of troops in the western provinces. It seems all but certain that the Empire is poised to bring its fist down upon Eorzea. And I would help deflect that blow, but I cannot risk sending reinforcements just yet. We will remain vulnerable to Elbor and Esot until the wall and the burnings in place. The all-important elegant energy barrier. The energy barrier, yes. I thought to call it something more auspicious. A name drawn from the four lords of legend, perhaps. Sirius Aegis or something such. The Ironworks engineers report they have finished calibrating the generators and are ready to proceed to the testing stage. Have you time to attend to the first test? You've seen the field which protected the Aziz Law firsthand, and I would be interested to hear how you think ours compares. I will come too if you don't mind. Though I am no Ishtola, I might be able to offer some insight. Of course, time being of the essence, it would be best if we made directly for the burn. Yukiri, I leave you and Hakuro to bring the War Council to close. Understood. Your mounts are saddled ready, my lord. Weather the storms. You obviously have some idea what to expect, having seen the barrier as its law. But not having that pleasure myself, I'm exceedingly curious to see a wall capable of keeping out one of the massive Imperial airships. We will cross the burn by Yolam Falcon as before. Join me at the overlook near the House of the Fierce. Let us pray there are no sandstorms brewing out there. Give the word when you're ready to take wing.
It seems the engineers have matters well in hand. Should the barrier work as we intend, Doma will be free to reinforce her allies in Alamigo without fear of weakening her own borders. Honored friends, the time has come to put your hard work to the test. Start the generator.
1 is operational. Nodes 2 to 8 are reporting similar energy levels. The barrier is forming. $1,000 yards, 2,000, 3,000. Expansion remains smooth. No fluctuations detected. $4,000, 5,000. Target altitude reached. The barrier is holding steady at 5,000 yards. We've done it.
Is that an Imperial airship? Of all the rotten timing.
But this is a gift, Mistress Alize. They can test our new wall for us. Seems solid enough, though I was hoping for a fireball.
In this case, too bad it wasn't.
By the gods, it's Alphino. What are you? Let me go! He has my brother!
Lower the barrier!
Be at ease, girl. The lad is not dead, merely locked in slumber.
No, not him too.
We could identify no cause and found no remedy. Thus I sought to return him to Doma, and into the arms of Lord Hien himself, it would seem. It is a day for fated reunions. Would you not agree, adventurer? Or should I address you as the Warrior of Light?
Gaius van Baelsar.
Aye, Gaius van Baelsar, the Black Wolf. That was the title I was given, one I have long since relinquished. Stand down. The legatus of the 14th Imperial Legion died in Castrum Meridianum. I am no more than Gaius Baelsar, a man without rank or allegiance.
Impossible! There's no way you could have survived!
Do you remember how it unfolded? How I was deceived by La Habrea? How I was convinced that reviving the Ultima weapon would allow me to bring peace to Eorzea? The Ascian used me, as he used so many others, all to further the restoration of his wretched god. Yet even with the might of Alec at my command, you bested me. And as the Praetorium went up in flames, I was content to burn along with it. For a moment at least. A moment of folly. To surrender my life thus would have been to betray all who died for my cause. It was for them that I dragged myself free of the rubble, and swore vengeance on the Ascians. The Black Wolf has shed his pelt, never to return to Garlemald or her legions. I live now only to exact revenge. My principal quarry was to be La Habrea, whom I gather you have since ushered unto oblivion. But so many more remain. Long as their kind lurked in the shadows, laboring to sow chaos throughout our world, I would see each and every one dragged into the light and put to the sword. Are the Scions not of like mind?
In this single respect, perhaps.
Then I shall continue the partnership the boy began, and share what intelligence I have acquired. Among the Ascians, the Black-Masked Ilk are subordinate to those who wear red. This you already know.
Yet among the Red there exists a hierarchy. Those set adrift with the shards clearly stand below those still joined to the source. Nabriales, who once dared to intrude upon the Rising Stones, belonged to the former group, and while he was indeed a dangerous foe, his powers were inconsequential next to the paragons of the Source. The first was La Hebrea, who plagues us no more. There is also the white-robed Elidibus, and the elusive Emmet Selk, about whom little is known.
We have files on La Hebrea and Elidibus, but I believe this Emmet Selk is new to us? As I assume my brother told you, we have evidence to suggest that an Ascian now walks in the body of the Crown Prince. Have you identified this interloper?
Elidibus seems the most likely culprit. As emissary, it is his role to maintain the equilibrium between darkness and light. Your many deeds in Heideland's name have upset the balance, and I believe he seeks to restore it by throwing his considerable power behind the Empire. As a leader of the Ascians, he is one of our primary targets. It was on the trail of this very prey that the boy and I came across the scene of a failed uprising. In the absence of a single Garlean casualty, we inspected the bodies of the rebels, and the lack of any external injury drew my immediate attention. They had been slain by Black Rose, an alchemical invention of the Imperial Army. When I yet served as legatus, I ordered its production halted, and all stockpiles destroyed. Toxic gas is not a tool of conquest, but of extermination.
Toxic gas? This must be the new weapon Maxima warned us about. Something deadly enough to sweep away all resistance in a matter of hours. Gods. You don't think they're planning to use this in Alamigo, do you?
Put your fears to rest. We infiltrated the production facility and destroyed all existing stores of the chemical along with the plant itself. Even should they rebuild the operation, they will not soon manufacture another batch. Regardless, I would draw your attention to a directive we discovered in the plant's records. The document was marked with a recent date and authorized with the signature of one Zeno Galvas.
A dead man signing the death warrant for thousands. 'Tis bad comedy.
But the tale does not end there. Within that same facility was a chamber filled with devices of elegant design. Cloning technology, we realized. And what should we find in each and every incubator? But a young Emperor Solus. All of which prompts the question, were the Ascians responsible for these abominations, or was it the will of the Emperor? I must know which hand guides the Empire. Though I have given up my rank, I am yet a son of Garlemald, and I will fight for the future of my homeland. It is time I return to the hunting of shadows. We should focus on our common foe. To reopen old quarrels now would serve no purpose.
You saved my brother's life, so I'm willing to let sleeping dogs lie. But in truth, it's not my decision to make.
You're right. There are more important matters at hand.
There was a time when I scorned those who placed their faith in false gods, even as I, In my blinkered conviction, place mine in Ascian promises. Unlike yours, my strength of will and my restraint was found wanting. We shall meet again, warrior of light.
So that was the infamous Black Wolf. An unexpected ally, to say the least.
Where's Alphino's body?
Well, I am content to leave the fine-tuning of the barrier to cleverer minds. Let us bid our friends from the Ironworks farewell, and see what can be done for Alphino back in Dorma.
Even should our alliance send a contingent to Ariosia, I will stay here in Doma with the remainder of our forces. So much as I would enjoy taking Imperial hands at your side, we cannot leave our borders undefended. What uncanny timing Master Alphino should return to us just as we were testing the barrier. I can only hope a cure can be found for his malady. Otherwise, the War Council has ended in unanimous agreement. To forestall the expansion plans of this region, our allies are willing to send troops to fight in Ariosia. Alphino is safely ensconced in a private chamber. My friend Sealer is examining him as we speak. I've spoken with a physician and there's no outward signs of illness. Alphino is lost in a sleep from which he cannot awaken, just like the others. Seems that even the lands of the Empire were not far enough away to escape the accursed voice. I share your frustration, Alice, I do. But Alphino has returned to us alive and otherwise unharmed. All that remains is to find the means to wake him. Till then, you can but fulfill your duties as a scion, yours and your brother's both. Yeah, right, of course. There are arrangements to be made and a little time to make them. To business then, my lord. Now that we know Sirio's wall works as well as intended, can we expect reinforcements from Alamigo? You most certainly can. As promised, we will send troops to bolster our allies in Eorzea without delay. Pray beware, however, that they will not arrive without delay. Save from a few who boast teleportation magic, the bulk of our forces must be transported by sea. A lengthy voyage for which small vessels favored by the Confederacy are ill-equipped. Accordingly, we need to enlist the assistance of the East Aldermar Trading Company when finding suitable ships. As for navigating the distances in question, we are happy in public position to being able to call upon those who plotted the course of my friend's people's exodus to Eorzea. Beyond the procurement of ships, I think it unlikely that the East Aldermar friends will consent to any involvement in military operations. I am certain that they will afford Alphino the berth aboard one of the vessels. Shall have the Carrigan accompany him every elm of the way to the Rising Stones. You have my thanks, Lord Hien. Yukiri, I will go on ahead with our friends to Alamigo. Enlist all those capable of teleportation and put them at the disposal of the Eorzean Alliance as soon as possible. They will form the vanguard. Yes, my lord. That's exactly what we had hoped for. These and the Alliance leaders will be glad indeed to welcome the combined strength of the East.
Our supplies of Black Rose have been ruined, but the new plant is already under construction. We should have the first batch ready in time for the offensive, Your Radiance. See that you do.
Ah, yes, the infamous Black Rose. If I recall correctly, Gaius did not much care for the invention. A ruthless and indiscriminate weapon indeed, this airborne poison. It seems you are capable of making decisions worthy of your bloodline.
With no gift for sorcery, we Garleans must look to Magitech to even the odds. If it spares the needless deaths of our soldiers and serves the cause of this empire, there is no method I would not employ.
How very noble of you. Truly, though, I must commend you for embracing your role as Emperor. You play the part of the determined ruler well. Sometimes even I catch myself believing. A silent agent of death. Now that I think on it, Black Rose may well possess the perfect aspect. Slowly but surely, the deluge of light has worked upon the ether here in the source, and the gas should be most susceptible to its influence. Well, I shall leave you to your own devices. Go forth and bloody the land with your grand and glorious war.
While you do what, precisely?
Need you ask? I will be doing what all Ascians do.
I am well aware that your kind exists only to usher in the next calamity. But you seem oblivious to the harm your singular agenda causes to the Empire. You cannot have forgotten the events which followed your mortal demise. Our homeland was plunged into a civil war for your failure to name a successor. The edifice you so carefully constructed was but a hair's breadth from collapse.
Are you truly so naive? You thought me oblivious to the consequences of a departure so painstakingly timed?
It was by design?
Well, of course it was. Though I will admit the resulting panic exceeded even my wildest expectations. But how can you be surprised? Throwing the world into disarray was the very purpose for which this nation was, as you say, so carefully constructed. Now, if you have no further questions, I must be on my way. Since we may not meet again in this lifetime, it would be remiss of me not to offer a word or two of gratitude. I really must thank you for this surplus of vessels. I can mold any host into my own image, but having bodies tailor-made for me in this fashion is so much less tiresome. You dabbled in Allagan cloning techniques, yes? It certainly is a compelling, not to mention entertaining, field of research. And of all the options available, you chose the Founding Father on whom to experiment. You have a twisted streak to you, Varus, like grandsire, like grandson, hey? If events play out as planned, this will become something of a family enterprise. You will be the capstone of this world, I the anchor and shard, and together we will give the lie to this star's fraudulent existence.
We must now leave to convene with the AOZ's leaders, and it may be some time before I return to Doma. Hakuro, I leave you in command, my lord. I shall assemble an advance party with all haste and join you in Alamigo forthwith. I've just received word from Lise. The Alliance has established a base camp near Alamigo's northeastern border. Once we arrived within the locks, we were reported with the resistance officer stationed in Porto Praetoria, who will point us in the right direction. Let's not keep them waiting. Here, I think I found the guide Lise mentioned. Here we are again, ready to fight the same foe. Yet would not be other anywhere else. This conflict concerns all of us. Come what may, we cannot allow the Empire to regain its grip on Alameda. Ah, you must be the Scion Party I was told to look out for. If you'll follow me, I'm going to take you directly to Alliance headquarters.
Welcome back, you two. Greetings, Lord Here. Glad you could join us.
Glad to be here. I would have come sooner, were our own defense is not in question, but I am pleased to report that our soldiers are assembling for deployment to Alamigo as we speak.
We're grateful for your support. Thanks to the efforts of our allies, it won't be long before we've established defensive positions on this front as well.
We have some good news too. Alphino has come back to us. As for the bad news...
So, Alphino won't wake up, Gaius van Baelsar is alive and hunting Ascians, and the Empire is planning to poison us all with toxic gas. Does that sound about right? Ordinarily, any one of those things would have left me in shock. But the way things have been lately, it's all starting to seem pretty normal. Getting back to your report, are we sure this Black Rose is the weapon Maxima was talking about?
It fits the description. And it seems we have Alphino to thank for sparing us an early demonstration of its effectiveness. I have a feeling this won't be the last time his bravery in the Empire will serve us here in Eorzea. The threat of an unknown weapon has had us all on edge. But now that we know what we're dealing with, we can take steps to defend against it. As for Gaius, I'm not sure what to think. Am I happy he's alive? Not in the slightest. Am I happy he's hunting Ascians? Aye, I'd have to say I am.
Oh, speaking of Garleans you didn't expect to see, we have a tale of our own, as it happens. When we sent envoys to the Imperial Army to request talks, they returned with the message that Varys Zos Galvus would be attending.
The Emperor himself. Well, Varys did sanction the Popularis peace mission. But knowing that an Ascian walks in his son's skin, I do not see how we can trust him or anyone from that nest of vipers.
The Alliance would proceed with negotiations regardless, if only to give ourselves more time to prepare. We do, however, require your cooperation.
Right. Yes. So, as a condition for the talks to go forward, the Empire has requested that a member of the Scions be present. There'll be a representative from each Alliance nation, of course, but I'm afraid we have to ask that you come along too.
Gods, Lise! You know how much I hate politics! But then, what choice do I have? Alphino and the others aren't going to do it. Very well. I shall attend as the Scion's representative.
In case you're wondering why I didn't ask you, the Empire also requested the presence of Eorzea's champion.
I'll be there.
That's settled then. We don't know what Varys means to bring to the table, or why he wants you there, but having you close at hand will make all the difference.
The meeting will take place on the border. Anticipating an early assault, we mean to position the bulk of our forces nearby.
The Alliance leaders should already be on their way. Once you're ready, we can head out and join them.
If Sharlayan cannot negotiate peace with the Empire, I'd rather doubt war can be avoided here. For every moment we steal from our preparations, we're counting the final reckoning. Is Emperor Varys following the Ascians? That is the question. Should the Empire decide to ignore the rules of Parley, we would be fighting far sooner than we'd like. Keep your weapons close. Well, I don't suppose it's polite to keep an Emperor waiting too long, shall we?
Esteemed representatives of the Eorzean Alliance, on behalf of the Garlean Empire, I thank you for inviting me here today. As this parley was convened at your request, I invite you to speak first.
Very well, Your Radiance. I, Nanimo Ulnamo, 17th in the line of Ul, should be pleased to oblige you. As recent events in Alamigo and Doma have made plain, the subjugation and exploitation of neighboring nations is not a sustainable policy. Should this day end in war, you may very well defeat us, but you will never extinguish the people's desire for freedom. Though it may not be in our lifetime, there will be another revolution, another war, and the cycle will continue. Doma has entered into a concord with the nations of Eorzea, a partnership wherein we recognize one another as equals. Garlemald could be afforded similar treatment. You need only set aside your ambitions and join us in paving a path towards peace.
You will not win me over with sophistry, Your Grace. As you know only too well, this alliance lacks the strength to keep the peace within its own borders. Even now, your struggles with the Beastmen continue unabated. Divided, you sow this fertile soil with the seeds of your differences and reap naught but discord and chaos for your trouble. Eorzea must be united under one leader, one purpose. I would offer you both and bring an end to your strife.
With all due respect, Your Radiance, the only thing that you offered the people of Alamigo was fear and hopelessness.
The citizens of Doma can also attest to the meager arms of imperial rule. There is no purpose to be found in a life of oppression, each day more uncertain than the last.
Our people are willing to die for their freedom. A great many already have, and countless more will, if we don't put an end to this madness here and now.
We brought order and stability to your lives. This madness and bloodshed is of your own making. You broke the peace, not Garlemald.
Peace. Order. You kill our peoples, despoil our lands, take everything that is ours. And what? You expect us to lick the boot that grinds our faces into the dirt?
I expect you to weigh the costs. To recognize that countless lives have been lost on both sides in pursuit of a greater good, and to not squander all we have achieved in a fit of petulance.
Your Radiance, I fear I can personally attest to the dangers of pursuing one's vision with such righteous fervor. For 1,000 years, the Holy See of Ishgard waged war with dragons. A 1,000 years of sacrifice, of sorrow and hate, in which we bathed in the blood of friend and foe alike. Had it gone on any longer, we may well have drowned. Yet we have chosen to raise ourselves out of this bloody spiral, and have since made peace with our former enemy.
So I understand. No doubt the dragons were more receptive to your overtures in the wake of their leader's demise. You speak of peace, yet use war to achieve it. Your father would not have bothered to obscure his intent with honeyed words. He understood that strength is all that matters in the end. Without his clarity of vision, I can but wonder what will become of Ishgard and her people. There was a time when Garlemald too lacked a leader of conviction. Weak and unable to wield magic, we were at the mercy of the strong from whom we sought refuge in the bitter cold of the north. Were it not for the discovery of ceruleum and the subsequent development of magitech, we might never have gained the power to take back that which was rightfully ours.
You speak as if your people were the first to have been driven from their homes. Limsa Lominsa was built by wayward souls in search of a place to call their own. On the shores of Vilbrand we found it, and from those humble beginnings did we grow and flourish. And all without robbing our neighbours of their liberty.
So saith the pirate. Am I to believe that you simply asked the kobolds to yield up their lands and that they were happy to oblige you? That you did not drive them out like rats in the hold of one of the many ships seized by your privateers? I will concede that after centuries of exile, reclamation may be mistaken for invasion. Nevertheless, it is not. And those who till stolen soil have no right to object when cast out in turn.
Your uncompromising nature rivals that of the Ixal. They too lament circumstances which they themselves perpetuate. Were they but to embrace peace, we would welcome them with open arms. Indeed, some few have done just that, and now receive of the 12's Wood's bounty. Would that your people might learn from their example.
You dare compare us to the Birdmen? You who thought to invoke the 12 and threaten all of creation? I came here in the hope of finding some speck of common ground, but I see now these discussions will accomplish nothing. Despite what you people may believe, I am not wont to choose the sword over the olive branch. 'Tis but a pity men are loath to accept one without first being shown the other.
Wait! I beg you. This meeting was supposed to be a chance to find a way forward together, not to bemoan the missteps which brought us here. Please. If you truly consider violence a last resort, there must be a way we can come to an agreement.
As Mistress Alize says, we did not come here to bicker over the past, but to discuss how we might strive towards a brighter future. Emperor Varys, may I suggest a short recess, that all present might compose themselves prior to beginning anew?
Very well. I pray this intermission will suffice to move these talks in a more constructive direction.
It is true that Limsa Lominsa's beginnings were not wholly honorable, but our old wrongs do not make the Empire's deeds right. I do wonder at Emperor Varys' decision to attend these negotiations. It is plain that he has no intention of hearkening to our entreaties, but then what is his goal? Varys holds fast to his ideals, just as I knew he would. He will not be swayed from this path.
Why do I get the feeling the Emperor is hiding something? For years we have warred with the Empire, and with no end in sight. A party such as this represents a unique opportunity, and I would not squander it with bitter words. For a moment I feared our talks would descend to violence there and there. Odyssey speaks of her dislike of politics, but her honest plea may very well have prevented an early battle. Whatever rebuttal I had in mind was lost in Varys mentioned my father. The man is certainly skilled at keeping his opponents off balance. Phew. This really is not my forte. After his radiance, his little performance, it was all I could do not to swear at him. I honestly don't know how I ended up playing the mediator. Just asked myself what I often would have done. Tried my best to do the same, and by some miracle it worked. But there really is no common ground to be found with that man, nor do I think he looked for any. So the question becomes, what did he come here to do? Because he maybe certainly wasn't to make peace. Whatever it is, I can't make it out. Not yet at least. We have little time to do before the parties due to be convened, though. So I try consulting with our illustrious leaders. They have some insight to share. I will say one thing for this Varys. He is well versed in Eosian history. His interest in our affairs is that of the beast and his prey. The conqueror would know his enemies. All should know their enemies, yet there is much more we do not know of the Empire. Then it's up to us to change this here and now. Ha! You would have me ask the Emperor himself. Well, mayhap there is some wisdom in that. If we can skirt the storm of his displeasure, we may yet come to our answers. Even if it does mean sailing close to the wind. 12, have mercy. But for Lady Hallisey's timely interjection, we might have come to blows at the negotiating table. Not that Emperor Varys left us great many options. Is unconditional surrender all that he will accept, you think? Ere he arrived, I would have said yes. But having heard him speak, I could not help but he came to some other end in mind. Exactly, he's building up to something, I know it. How then should we approach the rest of the parley? Have you anything to say, Warrior of Light? Invite Varys to explain himself. You believe he is more apt to relieve the truth if you put him at ease. Mayhap you're right. Thank you, Sarah. This parley was never like to be in place, but I'd hoped to learn something of the Emperor Varys' relationship with the Asians. As have we all. Yet if he is in league with them, he is not like to volunteer the fact, and if he is not, how much weaker would his position seem for their presence? We would approach that particular subject, but we need to be subtle. Would that I knew more of the man. If you would indulge me, Lord Hien. You received an imperial education, did you not? Is it true that the Emperor's will is considered absolute? There is no higher authority in all of Gollumwald, nor else in the heavens, come to that. Veneration of the gods is forbidden. The only worship permitted being of that of his radiance his own person. That sounds suspiciously like a religion in itself. I share your disdain for their hypocrisy. Even as they denigrate the idea of faith, they revere their leader with a fervor others reserve for the divine. It is a flaw common to much of the doctrine they feel it does. Logical on the surface perhaps, but contradictory upon closer examination. I wonder if a discussion of the various discrepancies might prompt Varys to reveal something. You've spoken with everyone then. Good. Now all that remains is to await the pleasure of the Emperor and hopefully we fare better at their second attempt.
Now then, who would have the floor?
Before we resume, I wish to offer you an apology. After you graciously accepted our invitation to discuss an armistice, we have done naught but rebuke you at every opportunity. I believe I speak for all of us when I say we are deeply sorry for our discourtesy.
I'll admit your familiarity with our affairs surprised me, and served to remind me how little I know of yours.
I think all here can understand the desire to reclaim one's homeland. But why expand further? That is my question.
If I may, the answer can be found in the Imperial doctrine they took great pains to impart to my people. Recognizing the threat icons posed the world, Solus Zos Galvus decreed that they were to be eradicated. To this end, he began a campaign to unite all lands under the Garlean banner. Or so we were taught. Yet the Emperor only reached the burn, the barren said to have been laid waste by icons, after conquering all the lands that lay between. What is more, I am quite certain the practice of summoning was not nearly so widespread in the days before the Empire's founding.
When you put it like that, it all starts to sound like an excuse, doesn't it? But to distract from what? Why are you really waging this war?
Finally, you ask the right question. I can but hope you heed mine answer and at last accept the righteousness of our cause. My goal is this: to return the world to the way it once was, the way it was always meant to be. In doing so, mankind will be made whole once more. No longer will we suffer from the dissension born of our differences. There will be but one race, a perfect race, as we were when time began.
What in Rulga's name are you talking about?
I am talking about the origins of this star, of the source and its 13 reflections. At the instant of the great sundering, 'twas not only the world that was shattered, but mankind itself. Thus were we divided into myriad races, each with its own unique imperfections. That is why man looks upon his neighbor and feels fear and hatred, why he wages war, why he kills his brother. You all in your own way have proven as much today. The peace you seek is but a fleeting solution to a fundamental problem. One which calls for more drastic measures. To bring about everlasting peace, our worlds must be rejoined. That is the goal the Empire would see realized. The glorious future unto which we shall one day shepherd mankind.
A rejoining of worlds. I have heard this tale of the source and its reflections before.
Are these not the self-same desires as the Ascians?
Emperor Varys, do not trust in their words. They will lead you to your doom. My father thought to use them, but in the end he succumbed to their temptations. He embraced summoning like so many other pawns before him. Do not tell us you mean to do the same.
To be a pawn, free from the burden of choice, would be a blessing.
But I forswore that privilege the day I learned that the Garlean Empire was built by the hand of an Ascian.
What?
Yes. My grandsire, the former emperor, is of their number. And who better to build an empire capable of bringing about the calamitous change we desire? Would you condemn me for this alliance? For bowing to the will of these shadowy masters, when the prize is true and lasting peace?
Your prize is a lie. Your master is demons.
I come not to conquer, but to liberate. To free man from the prison of divergence. Imagine a world united. One perfect race beneath a single standard. An army before whose might these servants of darkness and light would fly as leaves in a storm, never again to meddle in man's affairs. We would be the masters of our own fate. I bid you join me, not as subjects of Garlemald, but of a new nation. And together we shall win freedom for ourselves and generations yet unborn.
You want to trigger another half-dozen calamities? You can't be serious!
Have you forgotten how many died? There will be no one left!
Do you truly imagine we would aid you in your bloodletting?
It is unthinkable! Unconscionable!
And what is the alternative? To be as cattle waiting for slaughter? I would have us work together that we might take fate into our own hands!
Into your hands, perhaps. But what of the other worlds, your radiance? With every calamity, you obliterate a star and every soul that dwells on it.
To the Ascians, we are all but tiny, momentary specks within an indifferent universe. We cannot hope to oppose them until we have been made whole once more.
Are these truly the words of Garlemald's ruler? The flaws and foibles which you so abhor are what make us who we are. Every nation, even yours, Emperor Varys, is made whole through the combination of these imperfections, the strengths of one compensating for the weaknesses of another. While it is true that man succumbs all too often to anger and avarice, he may yet overcome his baser instincts through the forming of bonds with others, fostering community and cooperation. That the protector of an empire should not only reject these fundamental truths, but seek to change them at so dear a cost to life is indefensible. Such a man is not fit to govern.
And you, warrior of light, would you refuse me as well?
we can defeat the Ascians as we are.
It would seem the Alliance is of one mind on this matter.
You Eorzeans never cease to disappoint me. Though I suppose I have only myself to blame for expecting more from savages. This discussion is at an end. I bid you make ready for our next meeting. It will not be at the negotiating table.
I am glad we arrived in time to avoid aid in the battle. Though our vanguard may be small, few are our chosen elite, the finest warriors in the Far East. We suspected Ascians meddled in the shadows of the Empire, but the truth is far beyond my wildest imagining. At least now we know the face of our enemy, and we need not hesitate to strike at its heart. The Empire exists to wage war, and war it shall have. But its vast armies pour and like tides themselves. This could very well be the greatest military threat Eorzea has ever faced. I was born in the Empire, but I will never serve the Empire. Only the seeds here commands my loyalty. I refuse the Empire's words with all my being. What justice is there in an ideal that demands the sacrifices so many? The Temple Knights have deployed in full strength. Eorzea's future is Ishgard's future, and our fates ride upon the outcome of this conflict. The Ascians are terrible beings indeed that would found an entire nation to further their dark designs. 'Twould seem that the Empire's history is as sinister as Ishgard's own. My first engagement is a Flame General, and it is a full-scale war with the Empire. I feel some measure of nervousness, of course, but I swear I will make Father proud in the battles to come. Now that we have learned the Empire's true purpose, war has become an inevitability. 'Tis times like these I curse my own uselessness in battle. It makes a twisted kind of sense that the Empire was built by the Chaos Bringers themselves. The revelation yet rattles me, but now that we know our enemies are one and the same, we have a target upon which to unleash the full force of the Alliance. Send me to the front lines, if you please. We'll give the Imperials a taste of the Maelstrom's cannons, not to mention my axe. I came back to find Doma's advanced party ready and waiting for battle. So, as worrying as our little chat with the Emperor was, it did buy enough time for at least some of our allies to arrive.
I'm not sure what I was expecting from our meeting with the Emperor, but it wasn't that. Still, at least we know now what he's really after.
Aye, a future built on a mountain of bodies. I too want the Ascians dead, but not at any cost.
The last of the reinforcements from Dorma arrived not long ago. I pray it will be enough. Given the Emperor's stated goal, this is a battle we can ill afford to lose.
If the Garleans come in force, we may not have much say in the matter, even with our combined strength.
We knew from the first that the odds would be against us. But if there is even the slightest chance of victory, we must do everything in our power to seize it.
We must seize it, full stop.
Here!
The two of you are to join an irregular unit and support the main host. I won't bother asking if you're minded to fight.
After coming this far, how could I not? And for once, there's no one around to countermand me. Not that they would. Not even my brother. But we all know who really make the difference. Ready to frighten some Garleans?
I wouldn't want to be on their side.
Might I ask you to accompany the Dorman contingent? They are strangers here, and your presence would do much to raise their spirits.
We would be honored.
When our people stride out with you in their midst, I dare say the Eorzeans will feel an ilm taller themselves. High spirits have a way of spreading.
What I wouldn't give to join you. But my duties as field commander will not allow it. I'll leave the front lines in your capable hands. Comrades, ready your arms. The hour of battle has come. May the crystal guide us to victory!
Since the others couldn't be here, we'll have to fight twice as hard. If Alphinaud wakes to find the Imperials have won, I shall never hear the end of it. It's strange. I thought I would be terrified when the fighting started. I should be terrified. But with you at our side, I can't help feeling everything is going to be all right. So please, don't you dare leave me alone. No matter what happens, we have to survive together.
My duties as a field commander demand I remain here at my post, but I have no doubt the front lines are in capable hands.